welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be taking a moment to discuss trading etiquette. For those of you who don't know what that means, our channel mascot Nubbins did a quick Google and found that the word etiquette is a noun for the customary code of polite behavior in a society or among members of a particular profession or group. So essentially we're going to be talking about how to correctly and politely go about trading with other members of the Yu-Gi-Oh community. First I'll be talking about how to do trades in person, and then I'll be discussing how to do some trades online. We'll also be covering a bit about trading safety, especially whenever it comes to our online segment of the video. Tip number 1 of trading in person is to make sure that you actually have cards to trade. I know that some of you may think it's a little bit silly to list having cards to trade as tip number 1 in a video about trading Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but I've seen so many people show up to events such as locals and they'll go through people's binders, they'll find things that they want and even go as far as discussing price tags and potential trades with that person, and then they'll say that they don't have any money or trades on them. It's just something that I've seen way too often to leave out in this video, so I figured I would drop it as tip number 1. To make your trades as easily accessible as possible and keep them in the best possible condition, I do suggest getting a trade binder. You might end up finding one that looks similar to this. It's a pretty common binder to have. This one is by Ultimate Guard. If you can see right there, it has this strap on the back that you can use to close and hold for safekeeping. It obviously does not have to be this exact same binder, but a binder that has similar ways to hold cards will help keep your trades easily accessible and, as I mentioned before, in the best possible condition for trading and potentially selling them. So I do suggest getting a binder similar to this one. However, if you are unable to get a binder for whatever reason, you can also keep your trades in a deck box. I have seen a few people just buy these cheap little $2 deck boxes and they'll keep trades in here. This one currently doesn't have any, but you can see it will hold quite a few cards in it. So if you only have a couple things that you're wanting to trade and you don't have the money for a binder immediately, you can invest in a little cheap deck box to carry them in. Tip number 2 is pricing your trades. A lot of people, when they're interested in getting a card off of you, will actually ask the question, what do you want for it? This question is asking you what card or cards you may want for it, as well as asking you what value you think your card has. There are 2 types of value that a card can have, that's financial and emotional, but today we're only going to be discussing the financial value within cards because emotional value is something that's particular to you and it's something that's hard to discuss. To find the financial value of your card, I would highly suggest using tcgplayer.com. This video is in no way sponsored by them, but it could be. Call me up, TCG Player. But some people also use Troll and Toad, however I choose to use TCG Player. If you have never used TCG Player before, that is okay because our, once again, amazing channel mascot, Nubbins, will show you how it's done. To properly use TCG Player, go to the website and then in the search bar, look up the name of the card that you plan to trade. We will be using the card Ash Blossom as our example today. Now, it will either take you to the list of sellers if there are multiple listings for the card, or it will bring up only one image of the card and the market price. A lot of people say that you should never go by the market price, and I personally don't go by the market price either for a lot of reasons. But if you choose to go by that price, that's fine and it is your choice. Instead, I'll click on Show More and I'll find Ash Blossom from the right set, rarity, and condition. And that is how you'll find the price of your card. Now please remember that it is okay if your trades are $1 less or $1 more than the card or cards that you are trading for. It doesn't have to be an exact match. But I have met quite a few people who want their trades to be exactly the same down to the last penny. Those people can honestly be a bit difficult to trade with, and if they're being too obsessive about it, I usually opt out of the trade. However, if there is a dollar or so trade gap and they choose to find a few whatever cent cards out of my trade binder just to match it, or to even just slightly go above what the trade value of my card is, I usually don't mind. But it always does help to have a little bit of cash in your wallet just in case. Tip number 3 is be present during your trades. I know that in-person trading can sometimes become a bit hectic. You might have 1 or 3 people who want to look at your trade binder all at once, and that can get very confusing very quickly. If you're in the middle of making a trade, be sure that you see that trade through before moving on to the next person. Now, seeing a trade through does not necessarily mean that you end up trading the cards no matter what. If your trade falls through, that's okay, but make sure to wrap up and finish that trade with that person before moving on to somebody else. The reason why I say this is because it can become so aggravating when you're in the middle of a trade with somebody and they keep getting distracted because they're trying to make trades with multiple people all at once. Try to find somebody that will focus on you and your trade one at a time. Tip number 4 is about trading during matches. If you're trading before an event, such as locals or a regional, and your trade doesn't get finished before the event starts, that's perfectly okay. Be sure that you collect all the cards that you haven't traded away yet, and let the person you're trading with know that you want to continue the trade after the match or whenever you're both free. Something very important is do not give your cards to somebody before the trade has fully been finished. That is how cards get stolen. Wait until they are free again to be able to finish the trade fully. If you both happen to finish your match early at one point, you can easily go up to them and ask to continue negotiating trades. However, please do not bother them during the middle of a match. That's whenever they make mistakes and blame you for losing. Let them finish their game. You can stand near them and watch their game to let them know that you are free at the time, but don't bother them during a match. It's incredibly rude, and they might not end up trading with you if you mess them up. Remember that if they don't have any extra time to continue trades during matches, it's okay, you can always meet them after the event. Tip number 5 is about paying for trades. If you plan on getting some pricier cards, I do highly recommend that you bring cash on you. If you are friends with the person or people you plan to get these expensive cards from, then using things such as Facebook Pay, PayPal, Cash App, etc. can become highly useful. However, if you do not know the person you're planning to buy the cards from, cash is the best way to keep your information safe. A bit of a warning though, most card shops do not allow player-to-player buying or selling. So you might have to do some go-about ways to find loopholes in the system, like we all secretly do. For example, I've seen people quickly slip cash into a trade binder and take out the agreed card that they bought. But my absolutely most favorite way to get around the system is the sketchy, let's take this outside. Trading online can be both dangerous and tricky. It is never a smart idea to give out your address to strangers online, which is why I do suggest setting up a PO box if you plan on trading cards online pretty often, or I suggest only trading with people that you know and trust. Also, please do not meet up with strangers online, especially if you are a minor. Be safe, be smart, please. Tip number 1 is to be sure that you get clear front and back images of the cards that you're hoping to trade for. Getting clear front and back images of the card can help you know the quality and condition the cards are in, as well as what set they are from, what rarity they are, and most importantly, whether they are real or fake. You'll also need to return the paper by sending clear images of the cards that you plan to trade to them. Tip number 2 is actually pretty important. Make sure your trades are worth the stamps. Let's say your trade is only worth $1 or $2. Honestly, at that point it would be better to purchase the card online than it would be to pay for the stamps to mail it out to somebody else. When I was trading online, I always tried to make sure that my trades were around $10 so that it was worth the price and worth the time. Tip number 3 is mailing preparation. Please do your best to package your cards safely. Use top loaders and sleeve up the cards. Be sure to write "Do not bend" on the envelope. After you're done, write the address on the envelope with a stamp and take a picture of the prepared cards next to the envelope so that you can send it to the person you're trading with and they can make sure that the address is correct and they're getting the cards they traded for. These are my fake stamps. Ask them to do the same for you. Tip number 4 is tracking. Placing tracking on your envelopes and trades can honestly depend on the value of cards within them. However, I do highly suggest discussing with the other person about placing tracking on both yours and their envelopes, just because it can become a huge issue if they do not receive their cards. Also, people are dumb and they like to lie about not receiving their cards in the mail, and so tracking will help you not have to deal with the hassle of those people and their drama. So, you're welcome. If at any point the person becomes sketchy about their trade, step out immediately. Let's say, for example, the person does not want to send pictures of the envelope or the cards, or they haven't sent pictures of the envelopes or cards. Back out of the trade immediately. Remember, there must be trust, reassurance, and communication the whole time on both sides. If they take days or weeks to respond to you during your trade, honestly, it's a waste of your time. Move on to somebody else. Don't trade with them. And for my last tip, sadly this is something that I have seen quite a few people do and have heard multiple people tell stories about, so I figured I would add this into the video. This one is for both online and in real life trades, so let's discuss it. So for this discussion, I'm going to focus on the IRL side of things. So a lot of people that go to locals will end up setting up some sort of group chat so they can all discuss trades, when they're meeting up, when the tournaments are, etc., etc. And sometimes people do make trades through them. If you agree to trade cards with somebody from your locals, more than likely the cards won't actually be traded until you meet up again in person. Now here is the tip. Please, please, please do not sell or trade away the cards that you already promised to somebody else, and do not purchase or trade for the cards that you promised to get from somebody else. It's just a real bummer when you go to locals all excited to get the card that you need, only to find out that the person you planned on trading with already bought the card they were going to trade off of you, or traded away the stuff that they had promised to trade to you. It really brings down your whole day, so please don't be that person. So that is it for my trading etiquette video. I hope you enjoyed it. These were just a few of the major topics that I wanted to discuss today. I know that there are a whole bunch of little things, little nitpicks and complaints, or just itsy bitsy things that I could have discussed as well, but they wouldn't have fit in this video. And like I said, they were small things. Tell me about your best or worst trading experience down in the comments below. Please remember to always be polite to the person you are trading with, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!